By the gods above, my country is finally represented in Honkai Star Rail. Aglaea, or Aglaea, is the first of many Greeks coming to the game as playable characters. She represents one of the three Chariots that were daughters of Zeus and Oceanid, and the meaning behind her name could potentially symbolize beauty, charm, adornment, or often the embodiment of grace. I'll be making a full guide around her third version, and I'll probably cover her version 2, alongside the Herta's version 2 and the Trailblazer's new path. But for now, here's Aglaea's kit. Don't pay too much attention, by the way, to the percentages that I will be showing in the pictures here. They will definitely change. This is the first version of Aglaea, and we will definitely have changes coming. For Aglaea's basic attack, she basic attacks as usual, but this is where the Remembrance path comes into play for Aglaea's skill. She heals the summon based on its max HP, and if the summon is not summoned, of course, she summons Garmamentmaker, and it instantly takes action. Her talent gives Garmamentmaker an initial 40 speed and 44% of Aglaea's max HP, plus some flat HP. Aglaea can also apply the new debuff Seam Stitch to the most recent enemy she hits if her summon is active on the field, and if not, no debuff will be inflicted. Her technique summons Garmamentmaker for a joint attack to the enemy, and after entering combat, she deals damage to all the enemies, and she randomly inflicts the Seam Stitch debuff to one of the enemies. And finally, for Aglaea's ultimate, she summons Garmamentmaker and gives it max health if it is already summoned. After doing all of that, she will enter her old state and will take instant action. Depending on how many stacks her summon has of the speed talent that we will talk about in a second, each stack increases her speed by 10%. While in her ultimate state, she can only use the enhanced basic attack, and the summon cannot be crowd controlled. And here's a new mechanic that we haven't seen before. A countdown will start at 100 base speed, and if it ever takes turn, the summon will die and Aglaea will lose her ultimate state. For her enhanced basic attack, both of them attack a target, scaling with their attack, and dealing an extra half of the original damage to the adjacent enemies. And if you think we're done, well, the Remembrance path apparently gives the summon some skills as well. For the summon skill, it deals damage to the targeted enemy and a bit less to the adjacent enemies. And now we have 3 different talents that the summon has. Number 1, Garmamentmaker gets an insta action once it's summoned. Number 2, enemies debuff with Seam Stitch give Garmamentmaker 48 speed, stacking up to 6 times, and the speed can only be obtained if Garmamentmaker attacks that debuffed enemy. So you can just attack whatever you want. And finally, when Garmamentmaker disappears, Aglaea will gain 20 energy. For the traces, we have the small ones first. She gains 22 lightning damage bonus, almost 12 crit rate, and 12.5 defense. So looking at it from the small traces at least, you can probably prioritize attack a little bit more on her and crit damage as well, because you're already given free lightning damage bonus and crit rate. As for the big traces, T1, while in her supreme stance or her ultimate state, both Aglaea and her summon gain an attack increase, scaling with their speed, with Aglaea scaling at 720% and the summon at 360. Trace 2, when Garmamentmaker disappears, 1 stack of the speed boost from the summon's talent is retained, and once it's resummoned again, gains all the speed boost stacks that were retained. So if you saved up 2 or 3 or 1, you're gonna get 1, 2, or 3. Depending on how many you saved. And finally, when entering combat or using your skill, Garmamentmaker's damage increases by 30% for 5 turns, and in her ultimate state, the summon will keep this damage boost forever. As for her signature light cone, it increases her base speed by 12, and after either her or Garmamentmaker attack, a stack of brocade is gained, increasing crit damage by 15% up to 3 stacks. At max stacks, basic attack damage increases by 15% as well. And finally, for the Eidolons, her E1, while either Aglaea or her summon take consecutive actions, the damage dealt ignores the enemy's armor. This effect stacks up twice and lasts until another unit uses an ability besides Aglaea or her summon. E2 makes the speed boost talent from Garnet stack an additional time, and when Aglaea attacks, Garment gains the speed boost from its talent. E4 makes enemies with the Seam Stitch debuff take 8% increased damage, and Aglaea or her summon regenerate 20 energy when they use an attack against that enemy. This is very good to have a good upkeep on your ultimate, since the ultimate does require a lot of energy. And finally, E6, while Aglaea is in her ultimate state, both her and her summon gain a lightning res pen, and when either get the action advance effect, the multiplier damage of the enhanced basic attack increases, scaling with their speed. As a Greek, I will be letting you know I will be milking the but I will be making a lot of videos about Amphorius and the characters that come with it. Or I'll try my best at least. Thanks for watching. I'll be making more videos on Aglaea and the other characters, as well as a full pre-release guide later down the month. Anyways, see ya!